Hello everyone and welcome to 4Panel, your weekly guide to the weird and wild world of comics. I'm Andrew and as per usual I'm joined by my co-hosts Rob.
Hello.
And Mick.
Hello.
So how are we all doing today?
Well, you know, the sun rose, I was still breathing, bonus.
I mean, that seems like a cheery enough note to start off today's topic. Which is we are going to be covering a show which in our defence only came out in the UK kind of a few weeks ago. Season 2 of Titans.
Yeah.
I feel like that really sets the tone for the rest of the show, doesn't it?
So, I think the trailer kind of said it all. When you kind of mouse over the Titans episode on Netflix, thinking, "Ooh, what's this?" and the first thing you see is Robin going, "We're back, bitches."
The thing about Titans season 1 was there was a massive story arc that ended on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. Because the first thing I want to bring up is the fact that episode 1 of season 2 is not episode 1 of season 2. It's technically season 1, episode 13.
Yep.
So basically, like, they filmed a whole series, and then when they were putting it out, decided, okay, what if, like, we end it an episode early to have it end on a cliffhanger, and then start the next season off with the end of that story. And that doesn't work at all.
No, it kind of turns what would have been an epic finale into a kind of damp squib of a season opener.
Yeah.
It's really... Hi, do you remember this story from a year ago?
Yeah.
Sort of, I guess.
And you remember how big and powerful this guy was supposed to be? Well, we're going to sort it all out in an episode.
See, my main problem with opening Titans, opening any story like that, aside from the time difference and the fact that people have gone and watched other things in the meantime, some of which may have been better, may have been worse, but my main problem is I literally forgot the entirety of what happened in the first season of Titans.
Yeah, but
aside from the fact that Trigon was in there,
to be fair,
that's it.
To be fair, when we turn up to record 4Panel, you forget why we're here. You are not a good sort of line in the sand for memorability.
Yeah, but that should also be kind of the benchmark. You should be saying, well, you got to make it so Rob can remember it at least. If you're not even doing that, then you're doing something wrong.
Yeah. Oh my
but
God.
Also, I feel like there's a big difference between I can remember what happened in season 1 of Titans and I'm still deeply invested in what happened in season 1 of Titans.
Yeah.
Also, I was kind of expecting there to be a scene like after Raven defeats her father with the power of friendship, where just like Alyssa Milano and Rose McGowan come out and they all high five.
Yeah.
Because it was so much just an episode of Charmed.
Oh, that's what those actresses are from, is it?
Yes, that was the joke.
That joke really relies on you ever having watched an episode of either incarnation of Charmed.
And what?
Look, if Titans...
This is slightly more important. What do you mean either incarnation of Charmed?
Well, the Charmed that was recently on was a reboot of an earlier show called Charmed.
Oh, yeah.
They did a reboot of Charmed.
Yes.
Yeah, with CGI that somehow looked worse than the 2000 series.
What? They rebooted Charmed?
Yes.
Jesus. What rock have I been sleeping under?
We don't know. This is why we don't use you as a yardstick for measuring the memorability of Titans Season 1.
Oh, my word.
I mean,
I missed a lot while I was asleep, didn't I?
I mean, if to your point about making it so that Rob can remember, the previously on would have to be 13 episodes long.
Previously on Twin Peaks.
I mean, to be fair, the previously on Twin Peaks needs to be 13 episodes long anyway, even for people who are invested in it.
It also doesn't really help understanding what comes after it, does it? No. Anyway, speaking of what comes after things, we now get on to what I guess is like actual season 2 of Titans, which is the team, specifically Dick Grayson, Raven, Beast Boy, and the other Robin. They move to San Francisco, where the original Titans Tower is, and decide to set the team back up. But oh no, Deathstroke's got wind at their back, and he's none too pleased about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he starts plotting to take them down.
Just remind me, right? Why is Deathstroke... Why does he hate them so much?
Well, that is a thing that gets kind of revealed over the course of the series. I guess now is probably a good place to say we're going to do spoilers, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're a few episodes in. People should expect it by now.
So
They should also expect us to completely forget to mention that at the top of the show.
yeah. So if you want to press the pause button now, go off and watch season 2 of Titans, and then come back afterwards, you'll probably forgive us more.
Yeah, you'll understand.
Not totally, but more.
So, basically, Deathstroke was an assassin back when the original Titans were running around, which consisted of Dick Grayson as Robin, Wonder Girl, fucking Hawk and Dove, and
Yeah.
Aqualad.
Yeah.
Who's Aqualad, you say? Unimportant because he dies.
But oddly, far better than Hawk, or indeed Dove.
Yeah. He has actual superpowers.
Which, when you
Yeah.
consider that Aquaman has always been the sort of butt of every comic book related joke,
Do you know
that's
what?
saying something.
Do you know what I realised Hawk was? Right, just from watching season 2 of Titans, I realised it just suddenly struck me. I was watching a scene with all the men and Hawk getting angry as he usually does, and I thought, "You're Ben Stiller from Mystery Men. You're that character
Hawk-
from Mystery Men, aren't you,
Hawk
Mr.
is-
Angry?"
Yeah.
Hawk is basically a belligerent cosplayer.
Which is Ben Stiller in
Yeah.
Mystery Men.
That is 100% who Hawk is. And Dove is
His
also
girlfriend.
there. Yes.
But this is something, and I think when we covered season 1 of Titans, I mentioned theirs look like the most homemade costume. They literally look like something that someone's thrown together for a convention or something.
Yeah, and I guess in a way that's maybe kind of supposed to be the point, that like they're just two
Wannabes.
regular people who made their own costumes and a Wally's, yes.
But then there was that episode about Hawk and Dove where it turned out that they'd inherited those titles from someone else.
who also made terrible homemade costumes.
Yeah. So that is their superpower.
What, inheriting?
Inheriting bad costumes
Yeah.
and no superpowers. Maybe
Basically, their superpower is going to a charity shop.
maybe their superpower was distracting bad guys because the bad guys were so busy pointing at and laughing at the costumes that they then just got taken out by a bout of extreme violence.
Oh, God. You remember that Adventures of Superhero Girl? The
What?
one that it's a graphic novel by I've forgotten her name.
Oh, Faith Owen Hicks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But it's absolutely delightful because you've got Superhero Girl, who is the younger sister of like a really world famous superhero, and she's trying to become her own superhero. She's gone away from the family, and she's living in a city full of ninjas. No one knows why. They treat them more like rats because they're everywhere.
Yeah.
And she's basically having to buy like her capes at the charity shop and stuff like that.
But this is Hawk and Dove feel like
It's a much better series than Titans.
Exactly.
Hawk and Dove feel like the kind of superheroes that didn't make the cut in Kick-Ass.
Yeah, they're the ones who get turned away for being too ridiculous. Because again, we need to emphasize their superpowers are dressing like birds and punching people.
Yeah.
See, with this being DC, you'd go, yeah, okay, dressing like birds and punching people, it could work.
I mean, it's one step away from being Batman, really.
Yeah.
Who dresses
It
like
is.
a bat and punches people.
But it's also an important step, I feel like.
It's a big step. I mean, his homemade costume is the homemade costume of a billionaire.
Yeah, he's like the professional cosplayer.
See, in the comics, don't Hawk and Dove actually have powers, though?
I think Hawk's like maybe super strong.
Yeah, he's super strong, and
is
Dove
super
has
fast.
Dove has some weird
Or
abilities.
can do light things.
No, that's someone else. But I'm pretty sure Dove has some weird ability where, because he's supposed to be like the representation of war, and she's supposed to be like the representation of peace, if I remember rightly. So she has some weird calming thing where she has like mental powers, but she can still punch people. So she can basically go, calm down, bang, calm down, bang.
Yeah, Dove is a really great example of why pacifist superhero is an idea that doesn't work very well.
Exactly.
But
Which is why Hawk killed her and became monarch.
Yeah, he did.
Actually, Hawk has got superpowers in this. in that
He's super annoying.
when he's separated from Dove for any amount of time, he can become ridiculously addicted quite quickly to things.
Like I said, super annoying.
No, he's got that before he gets the addiction.
Oh, the super addiction, you
Okay,
mean?
but Mick, what if Dove is actually addicted to superheroing?
Oh,
Makes you think, doesn't
isn't it?
That's a
I
deeply
hate them
philosophical...
so much.
I was going to say that's a deeply philosophical question that Titans has posed.
Yeah.
It also feel like it's slightly undercut by, oh, maybe superheroing is a dangerous addiction. Here's Robin doing some cool flips.
Don't try this at home, kids. I actually liked Jason Todd.
Yes.
Yeah, I do. I feel like the big difference between like Hawk and Jason is that Jason Todd is deliberately a really like annoying, snotty kid.
Yeah.
And the thing is, anyone who's read any of the Batman comics knows Jason Todd was literally that.
Yeah.
That was why that was literally why he pissed off all the readers in the first place, so they voted to kill him.
And I think the other problem with Titans season 2 is the team from season 1 are split. Hawk and Dove are off being Hawk and Dove for the most part, and Starfire's having her own little crisis, which was actually a far more interesting story than the main plot of Titans.
Was it Crisis on Infinite Starfires or something?
Pretty much, yeah. It was,
Yeah, it was basically a lot of, hey, this is going to be a really interesting story next season.
Yeah.
Because I think her sister, who is like the queen of her home planet,
Tamaran.
yeah, she basically wants her to come back home and sends people after her, and she has to do some.
Sends
cool-
back a bodyguard who used to be her lover.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here's the thing, right? I get annoyed about the whole Starfire thing a little bit because I've seen posts that people have done about, here's the lovers that Starfire has had in DC Comics. Some of them may shock you. And you're like, really? Because you know how everybody, and even the cartoons of Starfire and Robin, that is supposed to be the item.
I think it's actually something in the clickbait regulations.
Yeah.
The title of your piece has to have the word.
Yeah.
Some of them will shock you in it.
Yeah. I was watching one where they put Arsenal ahead of Robin, saying Arsenal's relationship with Starfire was kind of what should be canon instead of the Robin relationship.
yes. God damn it, DC! Let's Starfire date an entire football team again.
Yes, because she did. Not only an entire football team, didn't she? Wasn't there an occasion where she got married but also wanted to have Dick Grayson as well?
I don't know. I feel like we are not a trashy gossip rag, so
Yeah.
let's
Really?
not.
Although, Volume 3, Issue 48 will shock you.
Top 5 numbers from 1 to 5. Number 4 will shock you.
Because it's number 8.
Anyway, God, we've got to go back to Titans again, don't we?
No, we tried desperately to
I
distract.
distracted you for a while, but
I mean, I guess it's appropriate that this is a very uncohesive discussion that goes to lots of weird tangents.
because was
Because that's what
Titans.
Titans Season 2 is.
Yeah. Like, I think there's a bit where there's like episode 4, which is a flashback to the old Titans. Then episode 5 moves the plot along that much. And then episode 6, it's, hey, what about Superboy?
Yeah.
Let's just introduce him out of the blue as well.
I have a game that I want you guys to try and play at some point, and all you listeners as well. Try and play this game. Go onto YouTube, all right, and look for Titans Season 2 clips, right? And then just basically try and line up the clips in some kind of time sequence. So maybe Season 2, Clip 1 or something like that. Clip
Hold
2,
on,
clip
why
3.
should we do that?
No,
the
no, no.
editor of the show didn't.
No, just listen for a second. Try and just watch clips on YouTube of Titans without actually watching the episode and see if you can figure out what the hell's going on. Because if all you're doing is going to YouTube, it goes from, it's like Dick Grayson in jail, Dick Grayson out of jail, Dick Grayson doing this, Starfire doing this. Look, Raven's over there.
No, they're not clips. You've just been watching Titans Season 2.
But that's what I mean.
Was there a clip where it looked like Beast Boy was about to do something and then the scene ended?
Yes.
Because, yeah, okay,
There's
you were
loads
just
of
watching
those.
Titan Season 2 then.
There's loads of those. I'm like,
Actually, I really want to do like one kind of supercut like that and then shove in a bunch of scenes from like Smallville and Arrow and just see if anyone notices.
But this is the thing. if you did some of the episode, if you like, trademark scenes for each episode, and did them as a trailer for the episode, you think that's an episode I want to see, with the exception of the Hawk and Dove stuff, because that was basically just EastEnders in capes.
Yeah.
But with the rest of them, they've all got interesting plots, but there's too much of it going on for any of them to be satisfying.
Yes, exactly. What's her face? Sled's daughter.
Rose.
Yeah.
Has the best story arc of anybody in it, but it's rushed.
Yeah.
I was fascinated by the whole idea of Rose.
Yeah.
And thought, this is great. Because, I mean, when you get Deathstroke and his kids and the relationship he has with his kids, that's always more interesting than just Deathstroke versus the Titans.
Yeah, but I feel like also that's maybe something you should put in like a later season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I mean, also what we need to mention, the Titans are like barely even a superhero team at this point.
Yeah. So that, as quick as they establish themselves, they're headed for destruction.
Yeah, and like you need at least just a bit of the Titans actually
Villain
being
of the week
Titans.
type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even just like, because the start of the series sets up that Deathstroke breaks Dr. Light out of prison, and the original Titans, they try and recapture him, they fail. That's maybe a good opportunity for Dick to go, right, I guess I've got no choice. Okay, you like new Titans, you're still kind of in training, but we're going to have to go stop Dr. Light. And they do. And like, then you've got, okay, they are now like established as the Titans.
Yeah.
Instead of just the Titans and some kids who kind of hang about the tower as well.
Do you think this is possibly a sort of fallout from what happened with the Marvel series at Netflix? And it's that the creators of these shows aren't sure how long they're going to get. So all these ideas that they have for what they're going to do, they're trying to throw into as few episodes as they can before it gets cancelled.
Maybe, because
Possibly.
the really baffling thing, they kill Deathstroke in the season finale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even in the like halfway through the season finale,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous. Like, he's the main Titans bad guy,
Yeah.
and you just like shove him off after about half a season's worth of a storyline.
And who's next? Who they're going to bring in if they do a season 3? Is it going to be Brother Blood and the Hive or what?
I guess because Dr. Light's dead now as well.
Yeah.
Very anticlimactically.
Granny Goodness?
Sure, why? But yeah, they've burned through so much storyline.
Although I will say, if they do bring Granny Goodness in as the bad guy for season 3, I am looking forward to that because that's going to be weird. That's like Legends of Tomorrow level weird.
Yes. Although I guess actually probably most likely it's going to be Blackfire, isn't it?
Yeah.
Since that's like what they've set up.
Yeah.
Or it'll be like pretend to be Blackfire and then they'll go, I don't know, he is the Mad Mod.
Titan Series 2 gave me a headache, I'll be honest. The bits that I wanted them to really go into, they didn't. And the bits that I just didn't care about, they just dragged and dragged and dragged.
I must admit, after the sort of season finale of season 1, that was episode 1 of season 2, I spent at least 3 or 4 episodes going, God, I miss Starfire. Where's Starfire? What's going on? This is all dull.
Because she's just off hanging out with that guy who was in an episode of One Tree Hill a few times.
Yeah, I really got tired of. I just kept thinking, I've already had one season of Dick Grayson moping around about his relationship with Batman. I don't need more of it.
No.
You know.
Yeah. Also, especially now because they actually do introduce Batman,
Yeah.
and he seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that meeting thing was a bit weird. Oh yeah, let's meet in a diner in the middle of nowhere
Yeah.
because reasons.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I never met you in a diner.
What? I mean, that's...
Yeah, of course he was too busy hanging out with Daenerys Targaryen.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That kind of bit was odd.
It was just like, I don't see how this fits.
No.
How is this relevant? Is it a dream sequence? Have they been watching too much Twin Peaks?
But Crypto's adorable.
Oh, Crypto's always adorable.
There you go.
He is.
There
He's
you
a
go.
dog.
If the-
He shoots laser beams from his eyes.
If there's one good thing to say about Titan Season 2, we got more Crypto.
Yeah.
I mean, should we end it on that one positive point?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, well, I guess we will take a break there then, and we'll be back in a bit with what we've been reading.
I'm Christopher Sabat, the voice of Roanoa Zorro, and you're listening to The Geek Show. on thegeekshow.co.uk. What up?
For us geeks, the cinema is sacred. Whether it's the latest blockbuster or the arrival of the new indie darling, we wouldn't trade it in for a thing. This is Cinema Eclectica. Not only do we celebrate the new, we also champion the old, forgotten and overlooked, whether that means Czech New Wave, slashers, New Hollywood, silent films, J-horror, film noir, surrealism, Shaw Brothers, spaghetti western, social realism, 80s fantasy, or pure honest-to-God trash. Even a certain little misguided attempt at a FIFA movie or an Italian director's whacked attempt at Dracula. It's all cinema, it's all eclectica, and we love it all equally. Subscribe to Cinema Eclectica wherever you get your podcasts from, including Acast, Audioboom and Spotify, or head over to thegeekshow.co.uk to get the full archive, where there's movies from all walks of life.
Thanks for checking out one of the podcasts in our merry little family. We really do appreciate it. Podcasts aren't all we do. We also make strides into the world of video. If you like what you've heard and want more, then head on over to YouTube and search for The Geek Show. On our channel, we have video game and low-budget tech reviews, video game chatter in Press X, animation discussions in Keyframe, movie visual essays in Shortcuts, needlessly nerdy lists with Listomania, interviews from our travels, and much, much more. The future's bright, and who knows what else it holds, so don't forget to search for The Geek Show. Subscribe and click that notification bell to stay up to date.
They've already proven, you can do Deathstroke really well, just on a TV budget.
Yeah.
And instead we get this guy dressed in what's definitely cardboard.
Yes.
Just doing lots of vague, yes, the Titans shall be punished for the crimes they did that deserve the punishment that I shall punish them for.
Do you know the other thing as well, though?
Almost like The Punisher.
Yeah. The other thing, though, was Arrow's origin story for Deathstroke was actually a lot more interesting and a lot more believable than any kind of blurb they came up with in Titans.
Yeah, because I think then it was also like the Titans tried to get his son Jericho to help them take him down.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, they didn't even really get him. Jericho, like, jumped in the way of Deathstroke when he was trying to kill Robin.
Yeah.
Which, like, I guess I can kind of understand Deathstroke being a villain saying, this is all your fault, Titans.
Yeah.
It's a real dick move by the... real dick move.
Well, you made a backflip.
but the rest of the team basically say, yes, Robin, this is your fault.
Yeah. It was you that convinced him that we were the good guys. Yeah.
Yeah, just because we wanted to stop this man from assassinating people.
But also, while you're talking about the realisation of Deathstroke in Arrow, I just want to say that by the time it got to the end of Arrow Season 8 and Oliver Queen buying it in the Crisis on Infinite Earths, I was ready for Arrow to finish as a series.
Yes.
Until they did the 2 episodes after Oliver's death, because I really want to see Mia as the Green Arrow.
Because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But the thing that got me, though, was you know, that... kind of extra credits thing or whatever they did with Diggle.
Yeah. What did he pick up? What was that?
I wonder.
I've heard about it. It's basically just like a green glowy thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which may or may not be ring shaped.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think they want to like carry it on with Mia. Is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I really am looking forward to the adventures of Diggle and the Space Ring.
I mean, I guess following on from Arrow logic, he will, for like the first couple of seasons, go by Space Ring. Yeah. Then it'll just be the Lantern.
Well, no, because the whole reason they were doing that was because they wanted to leave the door open, didn't they? Because they didn't want multiple versions of the same characters. That's why they did all that. He was the Arrow, the Hood, this, that, and the other. They haven't got that now, have they? Because they've distanced themselves from doing that. So I just wonder if maybe he will just be Green Lantern straight out the
I guess there was more scope for them to just say, yeah, he's just Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Like how they just have Supermen flying about.
Because
now.
let's face it, even if the DCEU did continue to be a thing, they're unlikely to try Green Lantern again for a while.
That's right. Hey, remember that Wonder Girl died?
Yeah.
I've literally just remembered that that's the thing that happened in the
Yeah,
finale.
see, that came out of the blue. I was like, it's Wonder Girl. Hang on. So, okay. Pylon thing, electricity thing falls down. She gets electrocuted? Hang on. This is Wonder Girl.
Yeah, it's not... but, like, if you're
Makes you
gonna...
wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, she's been electrocuted like 19 times.
The 20th that gets you.
And been totally fine.
I just can't believe that they wanted to kill off a character in a really dumb and anticlimactic way. And Hawk and Dove were right there.
Actually, they survived a lot of anticlimactic killings. You know, they were there when Aqualad bought it.
Why Deathstroke? You could have shot any of them.
That's it. That was Deathstroke's biggest crime. Not that he killed Aqualad, but that he let Hawk and Dove survive.
I mean,
That was his punishment on Dick Grayson.
Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Okay. He could have just got rid of Hawk.
Yeah, I guess you can kill off Hawk and then Dove says, oh no, I'm sad now. I'm going to go away forever. Goodbye.
Exactly,
Yeah.
because you know she's going to play it like a drama queen. She's going to be like some, I don't know, Bollywood movie.
I don't know. I don't think Minka Kelly has the range to play it as a drama queen.
No, she'll just give
Based on what I've seen in Hawk and Dove.
she'll just basically give that calm, stony-faced look at the camera, then slight hair flick, turn away, walk out the door, never seen again. That's it.
That's just every entrance and exit of Dove in Titans.
Yeah, I know, but you know this will be the last one. She'll just walk out. It'll like fade to white or fade to black, whichever one you choose. I don't know, maybe fade to chartreuse or something.
Fade
like
to
that.
that shot of Doom Patrol from Crisis on Infinite Earths, or just dancing in a field.
Well, what was it the Invisible Man twerking? That was the bit that got me. Just the fact that he starts twerking at the camera.
Do you think there's like bits kind of that they didn't film where the Titans are all standing around pine going, okay, we've got a really great plan. Someone get Dove in here so we can tell her. And they just go, actually, I'm already here. And welcome back to the show. Now we're at the part where we're going to be talking about what we've been reading. First of all, big thanks again to Turnaround Books for providing all of today's reading material. And who wants to start things off?
I will.
Good. That's probably the order we just decided on,
It
but I
probably
was
is.
not paying attention.
So I've been reading Black Cat: Grand Theft Marvel, which features Marvel's very own Poundland Catwoman, Felicia Hardy, because that's what she is, isn't it? She's just a rip-off of Catwoman,
Well,
but without the whips
oh, the ears.
or the claws.
Hang on. Didn't one version of Felicia Hardy actually have little white cat ears, and then they thought,
Maybe,
no,
but not this version.
That's a bit too stupid, giving her cat ears, so we'll get rid of them.
Not this version. She's basically got some claws on her gloves and an eye mask and a tight-fitting spandex suit. But outside of that, there are no...
Don't forget she's got that extendable whip with which she
Not
can...
in here.
No, I think you're thinking of Catwoman.
Yeah, that's Catwoman.
But I'm sure Black Cat had an extendable whip that she could use to kind of grappling hook
Well,
across the
possibly
city.
one day when she
Yeah.
borrowed it off Catwoman.
I'm sure it was in the Spider-Man game.
I mean, maybe, and they
Maybe.
also might have just ripped that off of Catwoman.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's all a rip-off of Catwoman. I agree with you.
So this features Felicia doing a robbery,
As she's wont to do.
as she is wont to do, because she's got all the skills that are necessary to get into any building undetected. A bit like Catwoman.
So basically she's the landlord and has the tenancies and has like a master key.
No, she has a certain set of skills that can get her into any mansion, vault, or museum to procure the things she wants. A bit like Catwoman.
Also sounds like, that first bit also sounded a bit like Liam Neeson. I have
Yeah.
a certain set of skills.
Yeah, I'm not sure I want to see Liam Neeson in a skin-tight cat suit.
No. I mean, that is one advantage that Felicia Hardy has over Liam Neeson.
No, that's Taken 7, isn't it?
So this is collecting Black Cat number 1 to 5, and this does a suite of stories for Black Cat in a slightly less successful way than the Domino series has done for Domino, because in Domino you get to learn about Domino and you get to know her and her friends and really get to fall in love with the character. This, you just spend the entire thing going, Catwoman would have done it better. It's written by Jed McKay, and it's... One thing I will say for it, unlike some of these collected versions, is it does have a solid storyline all the way through.
Okay.
It's an okay storyline.
Yeah.
It features the Black Fox.
Okay.
It also gives her band of minions, her crew, the name Perfect Purloiners, but that's P-U-R-R.
Yeah, I figured as much.
As is Purloiners. You see what they've done there? I mean, that is Julie Newmar level of Catwoman.
Yeah.
There.
I mean, does she have a shop front that she calls Purveyors?
No. She has a lot of front, but it's not a shop front. But other than that, it's just a series of heist tales. There's added humour from the fact that we get a little bit of a flashback to the day that the Black Fox took on Dracula at cards and won.
As you do.
As you do.
Well, it's not really that difficult, you know. You know, if you call Dracula and, you know, raise him just like a wine glass full of blood, he's got to give some tells as to what he's got.
Well, actually, I think that's the thing about Dracula, is he falls whenever you raise the stakes.
So you have some guest appearances. For the Black Fox is trying to get into the vaults of the New York Thieves Guild, which appear to be held in another dimension. And for that, he needs certain mystical items that are currently held under lock and key in the safekeeping of various people, one of whom is Doctor Strange.
Please, sir, I have a question.
Okay.
New York has a Thieves Guild.
Yes.
Is this related to the New Orleans Thieves Guild?
No, that's the Thieves Guild.
That's the Thieves Guild of Gambit fame. That Gambit apparently is the head of.
Probably. I mean, why wouldn't... If New Orleans has got a Thieves Guild, why wouldn't
Thieves
New York?
Guild.
Thieves Guild.
Why wouldn't New York have a Thieves Guild?
So does that mean all the major cities in America have a Thieves Guild or Thieves Guild in New Orleans?
I don't know the law of Marvel that well, but I'm going to say yes, just to make this slightly less painful a section.
And I'm going to agree that, yeah, I think so.
So the New York Thieves Guild, run by Odessa Drake, have cut Felicia adrift because she hasn't paid her 10%.
Okay.
And the Black Fox also wants to rob their vaults. So he needs these mystical items, one of which is held at the Sanctum Sanctorum. And so they break in and the heist goes a bit south because there's Xander the Merciless, described as a Merlin, who helps her get through all the magical trips and traps and stuff. There's some weird mutant type things called the Strangelings, which they're like...
Please say they're mini versions of Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I've not heard of the Strange Things before, so they might just be made up for this.
Right, I think we need to have this as the episode image, because the Strangelings will give you nightmares when I can find a picture of them. I mean, there are many pictures of them.
What if it's a picture of Strangelings and Hawk and Dove?
They're Strangelings.
Oh, I don't like those. Although I did see... Mick, can you confirm that Bats the Ghost Dog is in this?
Bats the Ghost Dog is in this.
Excellent.
I was right. I was right.
They are mini Doctor Stranges, but they're really mini in that they're full-size Doctor Strange heads on tiny, tiny bodies.
Hands and feet, yeah. It's like somebody cut off Doctor Strange's head and gave it like Deadpool powers.
Yeah, it's disturbing. But yes, Bats the Ghost Dog is in, and they get what they need from that. Then they need to break into 4 Yancey Street, the home of the FF.
It's also where the Fantastic Four live.
Yes. And there the gate to the negative zone opens, and in comes Blastar. That's how it's spelled. Don't blame me.
Fair enough. He's a big hairy man.
Yeah, you get some history about Felicia's dad training under the Black Fox. And eventually they assemble all the things that they need to get into the vaults of the New York Thieves Guild, which, of course, leads to an explosive climax in issue 5, right?
You'd assume so.
No. So that's that then.
I just want to ask. I've got like 2 tiny questions. Number 1. So Felicia hasn't paid her 10% to the New York Thieves Guild.
Yeah.
Does that mean the New York Thieves Guild is like a thieves union?
That's
type
how
thing?
a Thieves Guild works, yes.
So
They license thieves to operate in their territory, and then you pay a tithe towards the guild, which then offers you certain services like protection against law.
All right. Okay. Right. I understand it now. Okay. I wasn't sure how it worked because Thieves Guild in fantasy stories tend to work differently to
They
how.
work exactly the same.
Not quite.
Yeah, but this is basically just John Wick, but for thieves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second question. I just want to have a look at the back cover for a second.
Okay.
Because I do have just one question. What are these?
They're tassels.
Oh, the dangly furry bits on her arms.
Yes. Why?
Well, obviously that's to differentiate from her from the real Catwoman.
I mean, it's like you know those cowboy jackets you get with all the tassels along.
I would also draw your attention to the front cover, which has numerous scenes. One where Felicia appears to be swimming, one where some bad guys are shooting, one where Spider-Man's eye appears. That one is Sir Superhero not appearing in this comic book. He's mentioned.
Well, that's basically good enough, isn't it?
But, you know, if you're a Spider-Man completist and you've seen this on the bookshelf, you think, I'll have that to add to my collection, you're going to be disappointed.
I mean, I feel like if you're a Spider-Man completist, you're probably fairly broken by this point anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, the only Spider-Man you actually get to see is on the inside front cover where it advertises all the Spider-Man volumes that Felicia Hardy appears in. So there you go. It's an okay story. It's, if you're not familiar with Black Cat, read some Catwoman.
Actually, yes, do.
It's an introduction, nothing more, and it's basically cookie cutter, sexy chick leading a comic book, and we've moved on from that a bit.
Yes, we have.
Thankfully, yeah, not great, but not entirely awful.
From that to the confusing. And what could be more confusing than Thanos? Yes, Thanos in Zero Sanctuary. And I'll be honest, I don't understand how a comic book can have so much Thanos, but also no Thanos at all.
Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol can be pretty confusing.
Yeah, but it doesn't have any Thanos whatsoever.
I know, but you asked what could be more confusing than Thanos.
No, I said it can be more confusing than a comic book that has loads of Thanos but no Thanos at all.
That is a conundrum.
See, Thanos.
Is it Schrodinger's Thanos?
Yeah, this is literally Schrodinger's Thanos, right? That's why it's confusing because
Is it about a bunch of characters looking off panel and going, "What do you think, Thanos? Great idea."
no, it's mainly about one character looking off panel metaphorically for this entire trade paperback, and this is written by Tinny Howard, with art by Ariel Olivetti, colours by Antonio Fabella, and letters by VC's Joe Caramagna. And this collects Thanos 2019, issues 1 to 6.
Hold on. You've got someone called Joker lettering a Marvel comic.
Joe Caramagna.
Oh, Joe. Oh.
not Joker Magna.
Although Joker Magna is the comics book name. Right, so this, quite literally, it starts off with Gamora in a ship talking to someone, and it's a story about how Thanos was searching for death and killing off his crew one by one and killing all sorts of other people in his search for death until he meets the young girl Gamora, who is living on a planet of green people who all worship the Magus, because the Magus is some kind of big bad enemy at this point to Thanos. I'm like, okay, I don't understand what just happened there. There was a sharp left turn that happened because the Magus, the last time I looked, was an offshoot of Adam Warlock.
Yes, he's like Adam Warlock, but purple and equally as dull.
Yeah, but in this, he's the head of a particular church. The Church of...
Oh, yeah, the Universal Church of Truth, I think is what it's called.
The Universal Church
I don't
of
know.
Truth.
Marvel Cosmic Bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah, so Thanos is is perpetually hunting the Magus while trying to find Death and ask Death some questions. Maybe, why don't you fancy me? Why don't you love me, Death?
Is this basically Marvel's version of the Seventh Seal?
Kind of, except not as interesting.
Can you imagine that? Ingmar Bergman directing an entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
But also, similarly, can you imagine the Seventh Seal, but Death is a skeleton who somehow has boobs?
Yeah. Yes, Marvel managed it. But anyway, so this is effectively a story of Gamora's childhood, how she met Thanos and things like that. And lo and behold, apparently Gamora has a robot leg and a robot arm. Who knew?
Did she borrow them off Nebula?
So the thing is, none of us knew, and somehow later on in the comic, it also shows her not having a robot arm or a robot leg. And I'm going,
Well, they probably got
hang on.
better then.
Yeah. Or maybe there's just like a missing scene in between of her sitting like in her cabin with just a big thing of green paint.
Yeah. Also, it turns out that the reason why Thanos kind of adopted Gamora was because he thought she could see Death, because she was asking, who's that woman over there? And Thanos is like, why can you see her and no one else can? Yada, yada, yada. But it turns out that that's not Death. That's not Death. I'm not going to go into that because that's not even a spoiler. Should I just say it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Magus, and he's basically trying to trick Thanos, and Thanos is basically running around in circles because apparently the Magus is smarter than he is. And Gamora wants to kill Thanos, but then also is kind of in love with, kind of loves Thanos because he teaches her how to kill people. And like, this is a weird relationship, but it turns out that Gamora is reminiscing all of this to somebody who you think is Thanos, because baby Thanos was a thing recently in Marvel, and then you think, and then you find out, no, it's not even Thanos, it's baby Magus she's narrating this to. And like, I don't understand what's going on, because she's talking to baby Magus, but also to the ghost of Thanos. And like, so all this time, Thanos hasn't been in this comic. It's been a memory, and you're talking to a ghost and somebody who isn't even Thanos. Why?
I think I know something comic book based that's more confusing. Noah Hawley's Legion series.
Yes. But, also,
Yeah, but
it has...
that's not fair comparing anything to that, is it?
It has that with Gamora. Apparently...
Being Lady Thor?
No, apparently she misses Thanos.
I mean, I guess because he did like basically raise her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is like kind of a common thing I've seen of my dad was a bad person, but I still miss him.
See, I don't mind that if they just told it in a straightforward way.
Also, I do have something important to add, and that's baby Magus do. On that note, it's over to Andrew. I really can't follow that. I mean, I guess I will have to follow it though, because I've been reading what I assume is volume 1 of Oz the Complete Collection, which is written... Well, I guess, I mean, in a sense, it's written by L. Frank Baum.
It actually says on the front cover.
But it is adapted by Eric Shanower, with art by Scotty Young, and colours by Jean-Francois Beaulieu.
That's easy for you to say.
No, it really isn't. But hey, at least, I'm proving how multicultural I am by horribly butchering names from a variety of different countries.
Yes.
Usually it's just Japan.
I'm waiting for him to get to some of the names from the continent of Africa. Then we're going to have fun.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think on that day we maybe just have to close down the show.
See, he's been okay so far with names like Lupita Nyong'o. He's been okay, but I've seen some...
Yeah, okay, but in my defense, I've heard people say Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah.
When it's writing, it's just letters.
Oh, don't forget the exclamation marks.
Yeah.
When they bring in clicks and things, it's,
Yes.
it's worse than Irish names.
So, Marvel's Oz.
Yeah, Marvel's Oz. So this collects basically the comic book adaptations of both The Wonderful Wizard of Oz and The Marvelous Land of Oz. And I think this is just a whole series that Marvel does. I know there's an Ozma of Oz comic, so I assume they've probably done quite a few of the original books. And yeah, it's exactly what it says on the tin. It's just taking kind of the text of the original books. I mean, often like just lifting it verbatim. So I think Eric Shanower, he's maybe working more as like a storyboarder. Basically, saying just, this will be a narration box. This will just show in a scene. And having Scott Young draw it all. And yeah, I think it's a really neat way of like, if you've got kids or something and you want to introduce them to the Oz books, this is a great way of doing it.
Okay.
Well, I think this sort of format really works with a lot of the classic children's books as well.
Well, they've done it quite a bit with things like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings and stuff like that.
I was thinking more along the lines of Alice in Wonderland or Gulliver's Travels, things like that. It would work. It would work really well for. I mean, Gulliver's Travels as a graphic novel would work because you've got that visual aspect, so you can actually see the scale between the Gulliver and the Lilliputians or Gulliver and the Giants.
Just don't go near any of Alan Moore's Alice stuff.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. Yeah, we don't talk about that.
But yeah, it's especially good when it's drawn by Scotty Young.
Yes.
Because...
well, I mean, let him see the cover. Let him see the cover.
Look at this lovely...
You see, that works fine with those characters.
Yeah.
I fell into the trap of getting a Scotty Young variant of an Avengers comic, and it wasn't good. I mean, the comic wasn't good because it was part of the Standoff collection, but the cover itself was pitiful.
Yeah, but I mean, for something like The Wizard of Oz, Scotty Young's artwork works, and I think for Alice in Wonderland, it'd be great for Alice in Wonderland.
To be fair, that's far more intricate artwork than Scotty Young does for his variant covers.
I will, as someone who generally likes Scotty Young variant covers, sometimes he does phone it in a bit.
Yeah.
Like, for every one of where it's Doctor Doom playing with a bunch of superhero action figures yelling, Doom, 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 there's just... Okay, it's just the Avengers and they're kind of standing about.
Yeah.
But I think it works when there's kind of a joke involved.
Yeah.
When it's just Scott Young just drawing things, then it's a bunch of characters on a white background, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the bizarre thing is, one of my favourite Scott Young covers is literally a character on a white background. It's a variant cover of Spider-Gwen, where she's basically like playing with a web yo-yo.
Yeah, but like in that sense, it's showing some character.
Yeah.
I do think there are ones when it's just kind of characters in an action pose, and it's a bit, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Also, personally, my favourite is the Daredevil one where he's kind of bouncing on a wire going like, whoa, which, again, does not really work in an audio-only medium. No.
although, just keep comedy Daredevil in mind. We'll get to that later.
But yeah, this is just lovely. The Wizard of Oz is, I mean, do you know the story of the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah.
It's that.
Okay. Is that the Motown Wizard of Oz or the Judy Garland Wizard of Oz?
Actually,
I forgot about the Motown Wizard of Oz.
How could you forget about that?
I'm going to high five you for reminding me of that. I'm going to watch that as soon as I can.
It's the only version of the Wizard of Oz, the Wiz.
Yes.
Richard Pryor is the Wizard.
Yes, it's.
I mean, fantastic.
Michael Jackson is the Scarecrow.
Seriously, it is.
Diana Ross is Dorothy.
Yes, it is one of the.
That seems somewhat miscast.
The dog is still called Toto.
Yeah.
And is he played by Marvin Gaye? Anyway, yeah, I think it is kind of interesting because obviously everyone is very familiar with the Judy Garland Wizard of Oz, so it was quite fun seeing just some of the things they changed for that. Like just details like in the original book, it's silver slippers, not ruby ones.
No.
Which I guess kind of makes sense because, obviously red's more a visual colour. So
yeah.
It's got that pop. And also it's quite interesting that, like, there's basically a whole third of the Wizard of Oz that the film misses out.
Yeah.
Because basically at the end where, like, Glinda the Good Witch just appears, in the book they've actually, like, got to go over to her kingdom and see her and have, like, a whole little adventure.
And there's all that roadworks on the middle section of the Yellow Brick Road that really won't work well.
Yeah, there's that whole chapter where they've got to get the replacement bus service.
Yeah.
Oh, and also when they get to the kingdom of Glinda the Good Witch, traffic's backed up. There's there's been an accident further down where
and there's that bit where they're close to exhaustion and they need to stop off and get something to eat, but even with their collected funds, they can't afford a burger from the services.
Yes.
Also, there's the bit where after the wizard escapes in his hot air balloon, there's a very strong implication that he probably just crashed somewhere in the desert and died.
It's a happy children's story.
Yeah. Marvelous Land of Oz, though, is kind of weird and delightful. Like, it's about a young boy called Tip and his sort of inadvertent son that he creates by magic called Jack Pumpkinhead, who is just a wooden man with a pumpkin for a head.
And is this a precursor to the film Return to Oz?
I think so.
Because if I remember rightly, Jack Pumpkinhead is the King of Oz in that, isn't he? But he's been there's been like a coup and he's lost his throne, so he's on the run.
So I think maybe actually that film adapts some of Return of Oz. Because in this, the Scarecrow is the King of Oz, and he gets upended in a coup by General Ginger and her army of dissatisfied housewives.
Does it have the Wheelers in there?
No, it doesn't. It just has a bunch of women who are sick of doing all the cooking and cleaning, and so they're going to take over Oz with their militia of knitting needles.
That actually sounds scarier than the Wheelers.
I feel like it's one of the things. At first, I was kind of a bit. Is this kind of kosher having all these crazy broads? They want to get out the kitchen and steal all the jewels.
He said it, not me.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, in terms
We'd
of...
like to point out that the opinions of Andrew are not necessarily the opinions of 4Panel
that
or
is
the Geek Show
opinion
Network.
the book seems to be trying to put across. But I do feel like it's slightly bounced up by this idea that, well, I mean, it's that I'll have the men rule, and my God, are they useless. So it seems at least a bit balanced.
See, the listeners can't see this, but when you said the men are useless, me and Mick just started nodding our heads.
I feel like at least there are like good, strong female characters in this, like, you know, Glinda the Good Witch, and one who's a big old spoiler, so I can't say it.
Okay.
So I don't know. It's probably a thing that people smarter than me should work out. But I did like the fact that there's a character called Mr. Wogglebug, who is an insect that got put through a magnifying glass and then just sort of like projected on a wall, and then he stepped out of the projection and now he's a human-sized bug person.
A lot of drugs were taken during the making of this story.
That sounds like an episode of Sapphire and Steel, I'll be honest.
Yes.
Also,
Like I said, a lot of drugs were taken during the making of this story.
He's highly educated, and he shows that fact by doing the thing that only people of a superior intellect can do, which is make really dumb puns all the time.
Right.
Like there's a bit where the Scarecrow loses all his hay, so he gets stuffed full of money instead, which I thought was a very interesting, you know, new adaptation of the $6 Million Man. And so Mr. Wogglebug says, well, you'll be fine if we get into trouble now, because even if you fall outside of our ship, you won't get broke.
Oh. Sorry, I was just imagining, that.
I was expecting something to have cost him an arm and a leg.
I was just imagining that version of the Wizard of Oz where the Scarecrow is walking down next to everyone, but every time the camera focuses on him, all you can hear is.
Actually, speaking of that, that's probably one of my favourite things about the Scott Young art is he does a really good job of drawing kind of the Scarecrow when he's moving. Like you can kind of see him just flailing his arms about as he just awkwardly stumbles places because he's a Scarecrow. And I mean, what, you expect a Scarecrow to walk normally? Don't be ridiculous, listeners. That wouldn't make any sense at all. In this land with a talking Scarecrow who also can't eat because he doesn't actually have a mouth, it's just painted on. I do quite enjoy that there is kind of that sort of wink to the audience that, yeah, this is all a bit absurd. Whenever the Scarecrow's going, well, of course I can't eat, my mouth is just drawn on, he said.
I like the idea that... I love the idea that there are stories in this world where if you question it too much, it means you really haven't taken enough drugs or drank enough alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do like this. It's this very deliberate fairy tale logic.
Yeah.
Because it is... What the Oz series is, which I think a lot of fantasy novels lack, is it's actually fantastical.
Yeah.
Like, there's a bunch of things that come up and go, oh, that's a weird thing that I haven't seen before. Not just, okay, we've got to go to the Kingdom of the South, but oh no, look, it's some orcs. Because it's like, because I think were the Oz books kind of like pre-Tolkien?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's this idea that like fantasy as a genre hasn't been that heavily defined yet.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I prefer stuff like the Oz books to fantasy that came post Tolkien, post Lord of the Rings, just because they weren't limiting themselves to a particular archetype that was.
They didn't have a set of tropes.
Yeah. You don't see it as much in Western fantasy now, but if you go to Eastern fantasy, you see kind of this, proto-fantasy stuff still exists in Eastern fantasy, where they're trying to do Western fantasy, but from a very kind of different perspective. They don't really understand much about Western fantasy aside from Lord of the Rings, and most of them don't like Lord of the Rings.
So remember, budding fantasy authors, it doesn't always have to be elves, dwarves and dragons.
You can have them, but just don't make them that important.
Yeah, or just don't make them exactly like...
Elf,
okay,
dwarves and
an
dragons.
elf is this exact thing that J.R. Tolkien described in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. See, the Bard's Tale, you remember the game The Bard's Tale?
Yeah.
Right? Bard's Tale had a great idea of the elf, where it was a green-skinned person, not this, golden-skinned person. It was a green-skinned person, and they used to be at war with the humans because they used to kidnap children. And just like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's a made-up world. Do whatever you want.
Yes, your rules, your game.
Also, just as a side thing as well, I did do like a little bit of looking up the rest of the Oz series, and my favourite thing that I've found is that every book basically just starts with Dorothy getting involved in some kind of horrible natural disaster and winding up in Oz. Like she falls off the side of a ship, she gets caught in an earthquake.
She's just a harbinger of doom, isn't
Basically,
she?
yeah.
Hang on. Did Dorothy grow up and change her name to Jessica Fletcher?
Yeah.
No, because to be fair, that doesn't work logically. Because Jessica Fletcher just is surrounded by death, not natural disasters.
Yeah, I'm just saying that maybe her powers dwindled down as she got older.
Or became more refined.
Yeah, or became more refined,
She
yeah.
got to target them more.
But she was being hunted, so she couldn't keep
Bit
calling
more
herself
finesse.
she couldn't keep calling herself Dorothy because the authorities were after her. So she changed her name to Jessica Fletcher, became a writer.
Yeah, but I just love the idea of like by the 6th or 7th book, as Dorothy's just getting swept away by a tidal wave, she's like, okay, bye Aunt Em, see you in a few days.
See, I love that because you'd be like, oh, not again.
Yeah. I'm being swept away by a natural disaster. Must be Tuesday.
Speaking of Tuesdays, I think it's Mick's turn now. Isn't it?
Probably, yeah.
Well, speaking of times gone by, in the 70s, before we had the Secret Wars and things like that, a young fan called Randy Schuler submitted an idea about Spider-Man having a black outfit.
Ridiculous.
I know, crazy, right? And so impressed were the higher-ups at Marvel that they hired him to develop the story, to the point where it never got made. So as part of Marvel's 80th anniversary, they got Peter David to write a story based on that original idea. And then they put it in with some other crap in a collected edition. I mean, you know how usually these collect, like the Black Cat one, it collects Black Cat numbers 1 to 5. And we've mentioned before that sometimes it'll collect 1 to 5 of one series and then maybe an annual of something else.
Yeah, just to bulk things out
Yeah.
a bit.
And it's quite clear that they weren't written for the trade paperback audience. They were written as individual issues. This one gets rid of all the pretense. This one collects Sensational Spider-Man Self-Improvement, Amazing Spider-Man Going Big, and Power Pack Grow Up. One of them isn't even a Spider-Man comic.
And when you say Sensational Spider-Man Self-Improvement, my for some reason my brain went to Mr. Motivator and the Spider-Man onesie.
Well,
But I guess that's the one that's kind of the adaptation of the unmade story.
so basically, you've got Peter David doing this retelling of Spider-Man getting involved in a fight with, what's he called? Firebrand or
Well,
Human Torch Light.
I was going to say Firebrand. Isn't that usually what they call the shoutiest person at a mob rally?
So,
Right there, I think the idea is he's some guy who like shoots fire and is like a riot instigator or something.
yeah.
Okay.
So Firebrand is this D-list villain that Spider-Man is trying to rescue an innocent bystander from. An innocent bystander who bears an uncanny resemblance to most depictions of MJ. And it just so happens that the Human Torch happens to be flying past and manages to save the day for Spider-Man. Spider-Man's already saved the innocent bystander. Human Torch saves Spider-Man. But not without some damage having been sustained by Spider-Man, second-degree burns, and his costume. Obviously, destruction because of the second-degree burns. So, they head off back to the Baxter building, and Reed formulates this new suit and heals Spider-Man. And basically, the new suit is black with a red spider on, and in a kind of play on the idea of the symbiote suit, Spider-Man finds that he's less effective as a superhero with it because people automatically associate the black costume with a villain. So they're fearful of him.
Yeah, it makes him look kind of a bit scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even when he's just rescued them from something, they find him scary. So...
Just, they must be super confusing for all the bystanders. Is that a hero in a new costume or some kind of like knockoff hero?
Yeah.
Or is it a villain pretending to be the hero?
Yeah. It must be tricky living in New York.
Yeah. Imagine living in a world where Captain...
So anyway...
We'll get to that.
But ultimately, they sort of... He goes off on an adventure. He's finding it difficult to adjust to all the improvements that Reed Richards... Because Reed Richards can't resist tinkering, right? So the web shooters are still activated by his fingers, but their aim and their focus and intensity are done cybernetically by thought impulses.
Yeah. So it's basically like that bit in Spider-Man Homecoming where like he unlocks the suit and he's got more than he knows what to do with.
Yeah. And so he does that. He manages to defeat Firebrand, but, scares Firebrand's daughter. And that's it. He returns the suit. He says, thanks, Reed, but no thanks. Bye-bye. And then it cuts to him just hand-sewing his own.
See, I preferred the other reason why he ended up with the black suit was because he needed something that blended into the background because he was sneaking into the sewers on a stealth mission.
No, the original... Like, the black suit originally came from Secret Wars, when his suit got damaged and he used the alien doobity-doo to make a new suit, and it gave him a venom for some reason.
Yeah.
Because everything in the universe hates Spider-Man.
Yes.
I mean, even I know that, and I didn't do comics in the 90s.
No, I was thinking about he dons it again in the 90s when he's actually there's a big problem in the sewers of Manhattan and he has to go into the sewers, but he can't go in his red and blue suit.
Yeah, that's when he gets like a second suit that looks like the Venom suit, but isn't.
So anyway, in the next completely unrelated story, we get the story With No Power. And basically, this is a bit of a sort of Spider-Man parable.
With no power comes no responsibility.
Well, no, because it turns out that with no power comes great responsibility as well. So basically, Spider-Man manages to break up this gangster problem, and someone's uncle's being shot. And he's being shot as a punishment for this kid screwing up a raid on behalf of the gang.
And even worse, that guy was carrying a big box full of Uncle Ben's rice as well. Just to really hammer the point home.
So anyway, Spider-Man decides to get justice for the young kid, hunts down the gangsters, rounds them all up. Just as he's about to wrap them all up in a nice webby-shaped bow for the police to pick up, the young kid comes in with a gun pointed at the leader's head, and he's about to shoot him, and Spider-Man talks him down by saying, if you want to do right by your uncle, who was this model guy to you, then don't do this.
Fortunately, as he's taking the gun away, it misfires and hits someone else's uncle.
And then we've got Going Big, in which MJ gets Peter to have a word with his friend to try and...
His friend Spider-Man, I assume, is...
Yeah.
Not at Peter, can you go ask your little friend if things are okay?
That's where my brain went. I was thinking, what are we talking about here?
To extricate her cousin from an undercover job she's doing. And this is actually the best story in here. Except that there's a villain who's nicked the Spot's powers. And I can't for the life of me remember his name because I read this in something of a rush.
Oh, look, is he like black? He's got like 3 eyes.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think his name is Coyote.
Coyote, that's it.
Yeah,
because
he
he's
was-
smuggler, he's human trafficker.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was in Mark Waid's Daredevil series.
Yeah.
And yeah, his thing is literally they kidnapped the Spot and stole his powers.
And it is the best story of the collection, but it's still quite weak. But throughout it, the thing that keeps you hooked is throughout it, you keep seeing some of the panels shown through the eyes of a gun scope. And there's no indication of who it is on the other end of the gun scope.
Probably the Punisher.
It is the Punisher.
I figured as much.
And at the end, the Punisher, he takes his shot and tries to hit Spider-Man, but he dodges it at the last second with his spider senses. But oh no, behind him, it's a guy's uncle.
Oh, if only this collection was that clever.
Also, I'm confused. So the stories aren't about like the Venom suit or anything.
No, the first one is about the black suit.
Yeah, but then you'd think...
the original version of the black suit before Venom was even a thing.
Yeah, but then you'd think that to try and bulk it up by like, I don't know, including that issue of Secret Wars where he gets the Venom suit, or that one that you mentioned where he puts his black... Like something to do with him changing his costume.
Yeah.
No, and then the next one you
Like
get...
there was that period of Spider-Man stories in the 2010s where like there was a whole thing about him getting new costumes like every other issue.
Yeah.
Like specific jobs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like Fireman Spider-Man. Police Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Ambulance Spider-Man.
Then there's one that's a very short one, a couple of pages, which is basically just Spider-Man remembers Uncle Ben in order to take down a juggernaut-type D-list villain. Then you've got the Execution, which is a nothing story involving Nightshade for no good reason other than, someone wants to write a Nightshade.
Basically just a bunch of
it's-
stuff like that. Yeah, like it's one story and then 5 like random issues.
Yeah.
Can we move on to interesting stuff now?
Hold on. And then you've got Power Pack, and Power Pack involves some kind of magical horse creature, and I just cannot bring myself to read Power Pack. Sorry.
Magical horse creature.
That's apparently
No.
Legends of Marvel.
I know. You said magical horse creature. I'm sticking with that because that's a good segue. Magical horse creature actually kind of works because there is a great image in this, which I'm just going to show you there.
That is Deadpool on a Pegasus.
A unicorn Pegasus.
A Unicis. A Pegacorn? I'm
Obviously-
going with Pegacorn.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Pegacorn because that feels like it has less scope to go battling.
Right, so this is Deadpool, Weasel Goes to Hell, and this collects Deadpool 2018 issues 13 to 15 and Deadpool Annual number 1 from 2019. And, right, the first bit of this has to do with the War of the Realms, right? And Deadpool is narrating to his blind roommate what happened during the War of the Realms. So, she's asked him to tell her about what happened, and so he's narrating it. And so I'm just going to read a little excerpts, just Deadpool's version of the story. Right? Fine. War of the Realms. Let's see. Malekith got all the realms together, right? And Malekith, according to Deadpool, Malekith is like this. We should totally team up and go to New York. It's super small, but like 90% of Earth's heroes live in a clump there, making it super easy for us to kill them all.
I mean, he's not wrong though. is he?
I know, right? Back to Deadpool. He had a good point. I feel like Reed Richards and Doc Strange are smart enough to have thought of that earlier. Anywho, the Valkyries tried to come stop Malekith, but that didn't go well for them.
Nope.
Because it didn't. Eventually, all the superheroes ran off to hide from Malekith at the Avengers' new house. You know, the giant robot in the mountain up by Santa's crib, because they have that.
Which is a fun callback to the issue where Deadpool did try and assassinate Santa.
Yep. And this is while he's going through a suitcase, and in the suitcase is a lockjaw onesie,
Okay.
a tennis racket, a toaster, and a goldfish in a bowl, still alive with water. This has been in the suitcase because Deadpool is going on a mission with his War Avengers buddies, right? And he's being sent to Australia, which apparently has been given to Ulik of the Trolls. or Ulick of the Trolls, as Deadpool calls him. And along the way, Deadpool is watching a variety of movies, and eventually he pisses off the pilot and gets kicked out of the plane.
Okay.
Because it's Deadpool. So, Deadpool is fighting trolls until somebody comes along and says, "Come with me if you want to live," at which point Deadpool has a message for Scotty Young, saying, "Scottrick, I know the kids were home for the 2 weeks on a break, and you and the wife were probably rock, paper, scissoring which kids should get sold on Craigslist first. But are you really leaning on Arnie one-liners for new character reveals?" Which is one of the reasons why we love Deadpool. So anyway, it turns out that Deadpool is supposed to join up with the group of Aussie heroes who were fighting the trolls in Australia. You have Nancy Nuke, who can turn almost anything into a nuclear bomb. Captain Outback, who can fly, and he's pretty strong. He reckons really strong, but she reckons kind of somewhat strong. And you have the Tasmanian, and the rest of it is crossed out because it's a guy in a red suit with horns. And for legal reasons, they have to cross out the devil part, which...
He's facing a lawsuit from one Matt Murdock.
Yeah, who turns up later on in this when Luke Cage and the rest of them come to give them all a hand against the trolls. And there's this marvelous scene where you have Tasmanian Devil and Matt Murdock in the same scene, in the same panel.
Hold on, surely that lawsuit would come from Warner Brothers.
You'd think so. He must just be up for his eyeballs in lawsuits.
Yeah. Can't be Tasmanian Devil, can't be Tasmanian Daredevil.
Oh, no. See, it's great because you have Tasmanian Devil going, "That's a pretty great song." And then Matt Murdock goes, "Probably best just that we deal with these trolls and not talk to one another without attorneys present." Like, right.
I mean, traditionally, Matt does have his attorney present.
Yeah.
That's just himself.
Also, Matt wouldn't know what Tasmanian Daredevil's suit looked like.
Unless someone explained it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I feel like he knows.
Oh, no. See, this is the bit that I love about this. This is how Deadpool ends his little bit of War of the Realms for a brief period, right? See, they're fighting the trolls and they're fighting the trolls. Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Daredevil are there fighting the trolls along with all the rest of them. And, Luke Cage is talking about they've got the Ring of the Lord set over in New Zealand, and Iron Fist says, "It'd be great. We've got bobbit holes and volcanoes and real live trolls." And Deadpool's like, "Wait a minute," and then runs off from the battle to find the trolls and make them an offer that they can't refuse, which is, you know what? Haven't you had enough of war? Wouldn't you like just to have a sanctuary where they'll feed you for the rest of your life and all you have to do is take some photos with some tourists? And Ulick the Unconquerable, or Ulick the Unconquerable, is like, that sounds pretty good. So they all move across to New Zealand where they're going to live on the Ring of the Lord set. And the Ring of the Lord set now has real live trolls.
I feel this is an apt time to mention. Did you see the thing in the papers about the ring that had been found in some stolen property? You know how the police occasionally offload the stolen property that's recovered, but they can't trace the owner.
Yeah.
And they had found a ring, and it had some very elaborate carving on it. So they thought it must be quite unique. And so they posted a picture of it. And when the Lord of the Rings movies came out, and Argos used to sell those Lord of the Rings replica wooden rings.
Oh, it was just one of
those. So when they posted it up on social media saying, "Does anybody recognise this ring?" They were a bit, to get rid of that, you must take it to the crack of doom and throw it into the fires where it was forged.
I love it.
Yeah, so Deadpool is good then.
Yeah. Well, the problem that Deadpool's got is that, for trolls, Ulick is a little bit like Joe in English, because there's a lot of Ulick the Unconquerables among trolls. He's just the first one. So Deadpool, his battle goes on. Anyway, there's more stories in this, but I'm not going to go into them too much. The next story is kind of a follow-on. It actually is the Weasel Goes to Hell story, continuation because Weasel, people remember, stole Deadpool's heart and gave it to Mephisto, and this is a continuation of that where Mephisto wants Deadpool to work as his assassin and kill everybody, only to find out what Deadpool really is like. I'm not going to go into that.
Actually, yeah, I remember this story now. I did quite enjoy the way it wrapped up.
Yeah.
I think this is the downfall of everybody who tries to employ Deadpool, isn't it?
Yeah,
suddenly they find out what he's like.
Yeah, we're not going into that. We also have possible copyright infringement in the final story, which is from the annual, and it's called Acts of Evil, which is all about a kid having nightmares. Now, there is a serious side to this story, but the copyright infringement is from... Well, and even Deadpool acknowledges, are you sure Neil Gaiman isn't going to sue us for this? Because Deadpool steals the Eye of Agamotto to go into the world of nightmares to try and speak to the Lord of Dreams or Nightmares, wherever he is, who looks a bit like Dream. And,
can you imagine if Deadpool was part of that? It begins with D.
Yeah.
He could be one of the Endless.
Yeah.
It does have a serious.
That's a fantastic variant there.
Yeah, it does have a serious edge to that final story, which I'm not going to go into. But then it wraps up with Doctor Strange being mistaken by some old woman for a magician, and she wants to know if he does children's parties.
I mean, you say mistaken, I say correctly identified.
Yes, but yeah, Deadpool is marvelous. It's like fishing, isn't it? It's like fishing. It's like fishing. But anyway, Deadpool.
Indeed, and I think that brings us to the end of the show, does it not?
Yes, it does.
I'm going to assume so because we forgot to turn the light on and now basically can't see anything.
Can you see me?
No. Who said that? We're haunted.
See, the listeners can't see the awful joke I just made.
Yeah, I feel like it falls apart if you do not know the fact that it's not actually that dark.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So you can catch all of our episodes on our website or on whichever or on.
That's easy for you to say.
Or on whichever podcast provider you're using. We are available on all of them. So go for your life. And on our website, you'll also find our Patreon. You'll also find various other shows that we also do as well. So look out for them. We're also available on YouTube, so have a look at all the stuff we're doing on there as well. Until next time then, I've been Rob.
I've been Andrew.
And I've been Mick.
And we will see you all later.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye now.